All right, let's talk about a really big piece of new housing legislation, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. Today, we're going to zero in on Title I because it creates a whole new federal game plan for how and where we build homes in America. So let's dive right in.
I mean, we all feel it, right? From sky-high prices to just a lack of options, the housing crunch is absolutely real. This act is designed to tackle that problem head-on by getting to the root of why it's become so slow, so expensive, and just so difficult to build anything new.
And here's the crucial idea behind it. The Act sees the problem not as a lack of will, but as a lack of a clear path forward. So it aims to provide a federal roadmap, a guide for states and local governments to help them navigate this maze of outdated, restrictive rules that have, for decades, really stood in the way of building the housing we need.
Okay, so our first stop on this roadmap is a big one. It's about redrawing the very maps that dictate what can be built and where. We're talking about reforming local zoning frameworks, the foundational blueprints of our communities.
So what exactly are these frameworks? Well, think of them as the local rulebook for land. They decide if a lot can hold a single-family home or maybe a small apartment building, how big it can be, and even how much parking it needs. And for a long, long time, these rulebooks have been creating some serious barriers to new construction. So the Act's first major move is to get the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, to write a whole new playbook. They've got 3 years to publish these comprehensive guidelines and best practices. And they have to do it by talking to literally everyone: urban planners, developers, and local residents. And what's in this new playbook? Well, it's a ton of major practical changes. Things like getting rid of parking minimums, which frees up so much land and cuts costs, allowing more missing middle housing, like duplexes and triplexes, or removing restrictions on accessory dwelling units, things like basement apartments or backyard cottages. It's all about creating more options, and crucially, streamlining permits so builders can actually start building, instead of waiting years in bureaucratic limbo.
But it's not just about changing the rules. It's also about providing smarter tools. This next part of the roadmap is all about innovation and getting shovels in the ground a whole lot faster.
One of the coolest tools they're promoting is the revival of an old idea: pattern books. Just imagine a catalog of high-quality, pre-approved housing designs. A builder can just pick one, and because the city has already vetted the design, the whole permitting process gets slashed from months or even years down to a fraction of the time.
And to get this rolling, the Act creates a grant program. Cities can apply for funds to develop these pattern books and update their local processes. It's important to know, though, the money isn't for pouring concrete or hammering nails. It's for greasing the wheels of the system itself, to make the entire process way more efficient.
Beyond just streamlining the process, the Act also encourages us to rethink the buildings themselves. It's really pushing for more modern and efficient designs that have already been proven to work elsewhere in the world. Okay, check this out. It's a key proposal. In many places in the US, building codes require 2 stairwells in apartment buildings, which eats up valuable space and drives up costs. So the Act encourages adopting what's called the point access block design. It's super common in Europe and uses a single protected stairwell for smaller buildings. It's a simple change that can unlock way more usable and more affordable living space. Next up on the roadmap, taking on another major source of delays: the complex world of environmental reviews. The whole goal here is to create an express lane for housing projects that really have a minimal environmental footprint. The specific hurdle is the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. Now, it was definitely created with good intentions, but its review process can add years and some serious cost to projects, even for pretty straightforward developments on land that's already been built on before. So, the Act directs HUD to resort its projects. The goal is pretty clear: get the vast majority of activities, think small-scale rehabs or building on empty lots in existing neighborhoods, to be either exempt or get a much faster review. This lets agencies focus their deep environmental analysis on that tiny fraction of projects that truly need it. And to make sure this isn't just talk, the Act sets some really firm deadlines. Within 180 days, HUD and the Department of Agriculture have to create a plan to coordinate reviews for projects they both fund. And within a year, they have to report back to Congress. This is all about forcing federal agencies to finally work together and eliminate that redundant red tape. And finally, this roadmap isn't just about solving today's problems. It's also about planning for a better future by asking some really important questions and gathering the data we actually need to answer them. I mean, this is such a critical question, right? We rely on teachers, nurses, firefighters, But more and more, they just can't afford to live in the communities they serve. This is what people are calling the workforce housing crisis. So the Act commissions a big study from the Government Accountability Office, or GAO. They're going to look directly at this group, households that earn too much for traditional subsidies but not nearly enough for market-rate housing. The goal is to figure out where the gaps are and how federal programs can be tailored to actually help. And here's another big, forward-looking question for you. Right now, we have this crazy patchwork of thousands of different local building codes all across the country, which can really complicate things and raise the cost of construction. So to tackle this, a second study is going to explore a potentially game-changing idea, creating a single, uniform residential building code for the entire country. It's going to analyze whether this could lower costs, improve housing quality, and speed up approvals by, well, standardizing the rulebook for everyone. So when you put it all together, you can see that Title I really is a comprehensive roadmap. It starts right there at the local level with zoning maps. It gives us innovative tools like pattern books, and it clears hurdles all the way up to the federal bureaucracy. It's the whole shebang.
And that, of course, brings us to the final and most crucial question. This act creates the guidelines, the grants, and the incentives. It draws the map. But at the end of the day, the decision to build a new future for housing rests with the local communities who have to choose whether or not they're going to follow it.